Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 1. Hello, Podderoonies. This week we are going back to one of our Legends episodes. We're going to be talking about a particular legend that has had a pretty remarkable career, still around, and we are talking about Denzel Washington, the great Denzel Washington, and of course I'm joined by a man who ain't got shit on King Kong. Boaz Dix, how are you, sir?
No, King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Yes, I know that's the line, miss. Just I changed it around to introduce you.
Yeah, not good enough.
So Denzel Washington, then, he's had a pretty remarkable career, I would say. He's done... Interestingly, we've picked 2 films where he's had a lot of collaborations with, like Tony Scott and Antoine Fuqua. Yeah, I mean, is he one of your favourite actors, Boaz?
Yeah, he's pretty up there. Yeah, I quite like him.
Yeah, I would say he's like one of the best black actors around, I would say. He's definitely right up there. He won an Oscar for one of the films that we've chosen today. He's still going strong. Like, he's got the Equalizer 3 coming out later this year. I kind of wish he would maybe do a little bit more work, but I mean, he's done loads of really cool stuff, and it was kind of difficult to choose which film I was going to go with for sure. So, should we go with your choice then, Boaz, first?
Yeah.
What Denzel Washington film did you go for?
I went with Training Day.
Nice. So why did you pick Training Day?
I mean, like, just, how can you not? I've watched it a few times, and, like, there's been so many memes of it and stuff like that, but I haven't watched it in a little while, like, quite some time. So it's a good excuse to watch it again, like, refamiliarize myself, because I probably forgot about half of it. Also, I like Denzel's character, Alfonso.
Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable performance, and yeah, this is the performance he won his Oscar for. So yeah, I do remember this film very fondly, just for him. Really, he's pretty awesome. I think one of very, very few films where he's the villain as well, which is kind of cool. So what happens in Training Day?
Training Day has Ethan Hawke as a police officer called Jake. This is his first day, his training day, to join what are they? They're like drug enforcement agents or something.
Yeah, in narcotics.
Yeah, they're in narcotics. So, he wants to join, Detective Alfonso's unit, which is, is pretty well regarded. But basically, straight off the bat, Alfonso is not what, Ethan Hawke is expecting. Like, he's streetwise, he's incredibly rude, and he is just flat out a criminal. He is, yeah. So during the day, him and Alfonso get up to, like, a lot of illegal shit, and it culminates in them basically murdering a guy and stealing all of his money. And obviously Ethan Hawke is not cool with this. So Alfonso tries to have him killed. It escalates. It gets pretty crazy. I think one of the things that's really interesting about this film is it is just a gangster movie. Like, it just reminds me on a rewatch of, like, The Godfather, because it's focusing on the cops, but the cops are just a gang. They're just another gang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's, like, basically the plot. It's just Ethan Hawke, basically trying to be a better cop, but realizing that the cops are, like, dirtier than the criminals, really.
I think what I find really interesting about this film, when, like, the first time I watched it, was just I didn't really know where it was going, really. It's just got this great dynamic between both these characters, Jake Hoyt and Alfonso. And you're like, all this character stuff is really cool, but like, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen in this
Yeah.
film.
No, absolutely.
You kind of can tell that like Denzel Washington is the villain here because there's like no one else that could possibly be the antagonist here.
Yeah.
But like, you don't really know how it's going to end up. That's what really appealed to me when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can tell like he's nefarious. I mean, straight off the bat, it's so blatant. But he's obviously training up Jake, and he obviously likes Jake. And they do a bunch of random things throughout the day where they do a spin on it. So, like, they're meant to do a drug bust, but they put drugs on someone. And they have a warrant to search someone's house, but it's not a real warrant. And they steal shit from... So they do all the basic stuff, but they're doing a crime. So, and one of the interesting things is throughout the film, you're like, why is this... what is the point of this film? But I think they tie it really well at the end, where it's like, everything they did is part of like Alfonso's grand scheme. Like it all ties up together.
Well, he's trying to get out of a big mess that he's created
exactly.
Himself. Yeah. So directing then, like this film is fairly simply directed by Antoine Fuqua, and he uses that to his advantage in surprising you at times without going off into different tones. Like there's a brilliant moment where they like raid Roger's house and they find like lots of money in the floorboards, and throughout the film Alonso has been testing and training Hoyt, daring him to do certain things. Then Alonso asks Hoyt to like shoot Roger, Scott Glenn, with the bitch, his shotgun. This time, like Hoyt's like, yeah, he must be joking this time, and Hoyt pretends to shoot him. And then when Alonso takes the gun from him, you go from like a wide shot to a nice tight shot on Denzel Washington's face, and tracks down to the shotgun and blows Roger away. It's like a little bit of flair for a really dramatic moment that seems to happen so quickly because the tension is nullified somewhat when everyone thinks Alonso is joking about shooting him. So that was just a little moment I picked out that was kind of cool from a directing point for me, because I feel like, Antoine Fuqua really just lets the actors do their thing. There's not too much, I would say, in terms of directing that's like really stand out for me. Would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, I think I would kind of agree. It's competently directed, but there's nothing much that really like sticks out to me where I can say like, there's like a signature shot or there's a signature whatever. So there's a couple of shots I really like. Actually, one that I think only one that really stood out to me. And that was like towards the end where Alonso is going for the gun. Yeah. And it has the gun. I like that shot. So where he goes to bend down and the camera's on the ground. So, and it's got his hand coming down. But it has the gun in focus, and in the in the front, is a packet of cigarettes, but you can't see it. Yeah, you can't see it because it's blurred. And so as his hand goes down, you think he's going for the gun, and then it adjusts focus so that the gun is out of focus, and then the cigarettes are in focus, and then he picks up the cigarettes. I quite like that.
Yeah, because that's a moment where like Alonso is he's really on the back foot. He's really trying to figure out what the hell to do because he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He's got all these gangsters around him. Hoyt's got a gun on him. I feel like he in real time, he's just trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah.
Do I pick up the gun or the cigarettes? He's just like, oh, fuck it. I'm having a cigarette first.
Yeah, I got to calm myself down before I can think, But so I quite like that shot. I thought that was like a really good, idea for a shot.
Second guessing,
yeah.
The audience.
So everything else, like I don't think there are many shots like that where that they stick out where you go, wow, I've never sort of seen that. I'm trying to think of another one. So I like the shot because mainly it's quite menacing where he's playing with Alfonso's kid. Then it has a shot outside, so it kind of establishes the time is going. The sun's going down, and then a cut back to the living room, and he's just sleeping on the couch with the boy. So, nothing spectacular about that. But then I quite like how Alfonso comes into shot and he's got the gun, like, to the side of him. So, like, that was pretty menacing, I'm not sure if you can say that's that. I mean, that composition of that looked really good. So I guess you can say that's directing, but him having a gun, I mean, that's in the script, So
I think the last chase is really cool. Like actually, when Jake Hoyt goes to Alonso's place where Eva Mendes lives with her son, and I like how it kind of like springs into action really quickly with like quick editing. Like the chase isn't anything that special, but I liked how like Alonso jumps him on the balcony as a surprise moment, and then you get this big fancy tracking shot from Hoyt lying seemingly unconscious on the roof to Alonso getting in his car driving away with the money, and then Hoyt like somehow jumps on the car and jumps Alonso again. So I quite like the fact that they kind of second guess you by making both characters jump out on each other when usually you would only expect that once in a scene like this.
Yeah,
it was really cool. Yeah, I mean, just that the intensity as well in his house, that kitchen gunfight was pretty good.
I love like how they set that up, because it starts off like he comes into the room and it's pretty basic, just a wide shot, and then shots of Ethan Hawke, so it's fairly set up, and then he's getting out his guns and stuff. But then I like where he goes, "What evidence do you have?" And he's like, right there. Camera goes to the bag of money, and then it goes to Alfonso and like a close up of him flicking cigarette ash, and then like it hitting his eyes. So it's like it's all real quick, like duh duh duh, and then he's got the gun. It's all cut really quick, and I quite like that, how it just went from 0 to 60. And then, and then you got, the gunfight.
I mean, did you want more? I don't think it needed anything extra, like action-wise, really, even if with them like working together, I mean, there is a little bit when like Alfonso gets his guns out, like shooting at some gangsters when he's getting away from Macy Gray.
Oh, yeah.
With the woman with the big fingernails, but that's about it. But I mean, that's a testament to how like strong these characters are.
Yeah,
really, that you don't need too much action in this film.
No, there's not a huge amount. I think the great thing is just the characters and just atmosphere.
I think my favorite scene is where like Alonso takes Jake up to the Mexican house because he's helping out the family in air quotes by bringing them gifts, and it's quite an unnerving scene when Jake walks up to the steps. You get all these shots of the Mexicans looking at him suspiciously, like the girls are just dancing, but staring at him still. Then when Alonso gets to the door, like Smiley, Cliff Curtis's character opens the door, and then you get like a nice quick push in shot on Alonso, and you're like, something's not right here. Yeah. So I like how like Antoine Fuqua just ups the tension with the directing, saying things are getting serious now. And with the card game, there's a simmering tension. But again, like the directing is very simple, letting the actors do their thing. He lets them create the tension. The directing never points to what's going on until you get to the shot out the window that Alonso's car has gone. And then the music kind of takes over the tension, and the shots go in a lot tighter, knowing that Hoyt is in trouble. The only thing I didn't like, though, is why the hell did Hoyt put the magazine on the table from his pistol just for Smiley to pick it up? I felt like that was quite a dumb move and almost spoils the scene, which was really good. So,
okay, I never thought about that.
That's my only nitpick in that scene. I was just like, why the hell are you putting the magazine on the table?
Yeah, you could have pocketed it.
And literally Smiley just picks it up immediately. I'm like, that was pretty dumb, man. But the rest of it, just really cool how like, that's the one scene where like Antoine Fuqua is just like, I'm going to kind of play with this a bit more and ramp up the tension. So yeah, that was really good for me.
Yeah, actually, another bit that never made sense to me is actually the whole disarming of Jake is kind of a little contrived, because like just because they want to see his gun
in that scene,
he could just say, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not showing you my gun." That's it.
Well, he might die because they're obviously tasked to kill him. So
yeah,
they'll do it in his kitchen, even though they would prefer to do it in the bathtub.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, he unloads the gun and then gives it to him. But then you're right, he just leaves it on the table. But another thing I don't understand is then the other guy is just joking around and threatens him with the gun, and I'm like, it's unloaded. What are you going to do? I think he's just fucking around. But yeah.
What's your favorite scene or shot, Bowers?
Actually, I think one of my favorite scenes is basically, where they abscond him in the bathroom, that whole thing, and then they're going to blow his head off.
Oh, yeah.
It's really messy, like they're just slapping the shit out of him, kicking him and dragging him, and you're like, what is going on? Yeah, it's just a really messy scene,
And also, I guess this would come into script as well, but at that point, you're like, how the hell is he going to get out of this?
How's he going to get out? Yeah. But that's why I think the script's really good, because, again, all the little things that he does with Alfonso, do serve a point, but they don't become apparent until much later. But, him saving the girl from being raped, it ends up saving his ass. He's literally going to get his head blown off. He's handcuffed. He's in the bathroom. They're going to take his head off with a shotgun. And it's just the fact that he has her wallet, saves his ass.
It's his get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
So directing score for me then, I think I will go, oh gosh. Again, I think, with Anton Fuqua, he does a lot of really kind of subtle things and doesn't overplay it with the camera. He's not distracting with the camera, and he dials it up just a little bit when he needs to. So I always feel like, if you can see the directing kind of thing and notice it, and if it's a distraction, that's always kind of a problem. Your focus is always on the characters at all times when you're watching it. So
yeah. So that's one thing I also think, directing when it's just two characters talking, but primarily Denzel and Jake, but even other ones, that the camera will it gets quite not too close, but it gets quite close to the characters, so you can sort of see their acting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I quite like that.
He knows when to go tighter in on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all feels very natural for what story he's trying to tell. So I would go an 8.3.
Cool
for me. How about you, sir?
I think I'll go I'm thinking 7.8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think actually.
Screenplay then. I love that first scene where Ethan Hawke's character Jake Hoyt meets Denzel Washington's character Alonzo for the first time in the cafe. The main takeaway I got from it is that Alonzo is an asshole.
Yeah.
But you kind of like him. Alonzo says to Hoyt on the phone to meet him in this cafe for 10 a.m. And when Hoyt meets him, Alonzo's like, do you want anything to eat? He's like, no. Then shut up. Then I want to read my paper. And you're like, who does that to your new partner? Then Alonzo asks Hoyt to tell him a story. Alonzo seems to be into it, but then he's like, is that the best you can fucking do?
Yeah, no, because I also like that he keeps trying to talk to him before the story in the paper, and he's like, do you fucking mind? I'm reading my paper. And he keeps going, and then because it's so quiet, he's like, actually, I will take that food. And he's like, that train has sailed, motherfucker. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm not paying for your food now.
Then Alonzo's like, pay the bill in this abrupt, funny way where he says, your dick lines up straight like that, right? To the right of it and to the left of it are pockets, right? In those pockets are money. Look in either one of those pockets, pay the bill.
Yeah, I thought that was great. That's a great line.
So it's a really entertaining scene seeing Alonzo toy with this new cop trying to test him and see if there's any character in there from Hoyt. So, you like Alonzo for that, but he is being a dick to him as well on his first day. So it's interesting. It's an interesting opening scene for me, where this guy is clearly an asshole, but you kind of like him a little bit. But for the way he's doing it, if that makes sense.
Well, it's he's an asshole, but he's got a smile on his face when he does it. He also just sounds pretty cool. He does it quite blasé and really cool. But he is an asshole.
This film is very much a character study between Alonzo and Hoyt. Alonzo's testing him and teaching him about the streets of LA. Alonzo's like, you got to be a wolf, not a sheep. As in they go after the big gangsters in narcotics. They don't go after small time crooks. but no plot is being unveiled here, and like no obvious antagonist is being revealed, but you get a few scenes where things are just a bit weird from Denzel Washington's character, where like Hoyt prevents a rape of this school kid, and then Alonzo arrives. He basically, well, first he's just watching Hoyt take out these guys. Doesn't want to help at all.
Yeah, even when Hoyt is getting the crap beaten out of them, and like he's just watching, just like, let's see how he gets out of this, you know.
Hey, I'm James Lovino, and I'm here to tell you about Alternate Sides, a movie podcast with a twist. I've worked in the film business for 2 decades, but I haven't actually seen that many movies, and this has been driving my frequent collaborator, Sam, a self-confessed film snob, crazy. So every week, while he's stuck in his car trying to avoid getting a parking ticket, thanks to New York City's alternate side parking regulations, we discuss a classic film I've finally just gotten around to seeing. Alternate Sides, a new podcast about movies, parking, and a 25-year friendship, wherever you get your podcasts.
And then Alonzo basically tortures the guy. Like, he punches him in the neck and the balls, enjoying it, you know. And then when he searches Macy Gray's house, it looks like in one shot he's put something in his trousers. And then the film goes back into this like wolf sheep theme. You know, that theme is really interesting, but that's not a movie. You know, the weird stuff from Washington makes it really interesting to watch without any obvious plot kind of developing. So it's interesting, kind of just the bravery of that, just really hanging on to just this character dynamic between these two without a big through line for the story. So I really like that, actually, the boldness there.
Yeah.
Plus you have these very random lines about Alonzo that's so brief you kind of forget about them until they become really important. Like when they visit Scott Glenn for the first time, he says, "I heard you had beef in Vegas. You know, there's a green light on your ass and the Russians want your head." Then they don't speak of it for the rest of the scene, and like Scott Glenn tells the snail joke, and that becomes the focus of the scene. And I still don't really understand that joke, but there we go. Then you don't hear anything about Alonzo's past for another like 30 minutes until Alonzo meets his bosses in the bar, and the same thing kind of happens. Like one says, "I don't know why I'm meeting you. I don't talk to dead men." Then Alonzo says, "I ain't dead yet." Then one of the bosses says another funny story about a hearing involving like
it's one of my favorite stories,
butt cracks and peanut butter. But then the scene doesn't end this time. They talk about Alonzo's Russian problem again in Vegas. Like the film changes right here. Like the plot finally kind of kicks in, but you still have very little details about it. Now you know for sure that Alonzo is dodgy, but now it's about when Hoyt is going to get entangled with it. So I loved how the film changes dynamics so subtly, drip feeding you information.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I like, because it's kind of like, you know he's got a plan, because he's like, "I'm working on it, I'll get the money," and, you know, all this stuff. So you're like, you know, where is this going on this day? Like, how is he doing this? You know, what is his end goal here? But you can tell, like, Alonzo is like, he's 5 steps ahead of everybody.
And it's interesting the fact that like they really separate Hoyt from that story until right at the end. I mean, like Roger tells him about the Russian thing, and he's in the room, but obviously he's high as well, and it kind of goes over his head, and he doesn't really talk to Denzel about it afterwards. And again, because obviously you're seeing this film through Hoyt's eyes, so you feel like it's not important, and that's why you kind of forget about it, because you're with Hoyt in this movie. So I feel like that was really a clever way of making it more of a surprise until Hoyt gets entangled with it. I find it interesting how you find out about Alonzo's true character in this film. Like after Alonzo kills Roger, he talks to Hoyt in his car again, but this time it feels more sincere. He basically is reiterating that if he follows Alonzo's philosophy, he will have a great career. But when Hoyt suddenly realizes he's trapped in this Mexican gangster's house, the leader, Smiley, Chris Curtis, lays it out about what's happened to Alonzo with the Russians. So it's like what Alonso said to Hoyt is probably all true, but Hoyt is just an unlucky loose end that Alonso has to take care of. So he's probably telling the truth.
Yeah, no, I think you can see in their last conversation in the car where, he's saying, like, listen, I used to be like you, and he's like, but this is just the way it is. And he's like, take the money, and he doesn't want to take the money. And you know what I mean? He's like, oh, it'll just make the guys feel better if you do. He's like, fuck the guy. It's not that it'll make the guys, it'll make him feel better. He wants to get him a little dirty. And then he's saying, like, you're going to say this to the things, they're going to instruct you what to say. But it's just like Hoyt, like, throughout it, every time he's had issues, like, Alfonso is like, well, then just get out of my unit, be a traffic cop or whatever. Just piss off, And every time, like, he's given him choices. This has happened like 2 times before. So one with the drug thing and much later after the house invasion. So where he basically gives him the choice. You can just leave. You'll never be detective. You'll just have a shitty career or whatever.
I'll find a different way to kill you later on.
and both times Ethan Hawke, like Hoyt, is like, he really wants to be a detective. He really wants to be successful. So he kind of gives in to peer pressure. But in the last conversation they have, he's like, fuck it. I just won't be detective. Just fuck it. I'll just have a crappy job. I'll just do the basic stuff. If that means I got to do that or, this, I'd rather do that. Do you know what I mean? But you can tell that I think with Denzel, with that kind of breaks his heart. It's like, he's so much like me, but he didn't do what I did and like sell his soul. And I think that's just his snap point, where he's like, I've probably got to kill him. But he just kind of pretends he's okay with that. Oh, that's fine. You'll do you know what I mean? It'll grow on you. You're just not, But you can tell in his mind, he's like, nah, he's never going to be one of us. So may need to get rid of him.
It's like he's apologizing to Jake, but he can't tell him the truth. Sorry. I have to kill you later.
Yeah, because that scene, I think, is the most genuine, where he's not acting like a jerk. Like all the other times, he sort of belittles, makes fun of, insults Jake, or even threatens him many times. But this is the first time he's like really being sincere and being apologetic and being like, listen, it's a shame this is how it has to be, but I really like you. We can do that. And even when he's trying to convince him, he's like, pleading with him. So it's really nice. But then even when he says no, you think he's going to like raise his voice or belittle him. But he's like, no, that's okay, Jay. That's okay. So that should be your first red flag there. It's like, that is not how Alfonso's like. Like he would have, if he really wanted Jay, he would force him. But I think it's just a light switch where he's like, I think you're right. He's almost subconsciously apologizing. No, that's okay, Jake, because it's like, I'm sorry, dude. I got to put you down. You're just a problem.
Yeah.
But it's done in such a nice way.
You're this close to being one of the guys.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting like foreshadowing moments in the film on rewatches, like in the opening exchanges where like Hoyt says, I will do anything for you. And Denzel Washington gives him a look of, oh, okay. And then he says, you think I'm crazy, right? And Hoyt says, I don't know what to think. And he's like, that's what I need. Yeah, so those opening little lines there are just really interesting on a rewatch of like, okay. He's really kind of like reeling him in already. He's hearing what he needs to hear to make this work.
So, like, one thing that's interesting, actually, when they first see Roger, he says one thing where you kind of know Roger's, like, a big-time gangster, like a big-time criminal.
Yeah.
Because, he's trying to build a case against the Sandman, which ends up being Roger. So it's bullshit. He knows it's Roger. He's just trying to get, like, some people to say, so they can, like, be like, this is how we found Roger, We talked to this guy and he said he works for Roger, so we can. So it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's doing the case backwards kind of thing.
He's doing the case backwards. Like he knows Roger is a drug dealer and he knows he's got a lot of money. So now he's like trying to find the guys he works for to sort of get to him. But
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Snoop Dogg. But when you see Roger, you don't know it at the time that's what he's doing. And the beating Snoop Dogg to find the Sandman, and they get the Sandman's address, and then they got a warrant for the Sandman, and you're thinking, okay, and then it's Roger. But there's one thing that Roger says where you're like, it should have been obvious on a rewatch, where he's like, just a couple, like just one more week, and I'll have enough to retire. And you're like, dude, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, your house is, your house is shit, and you know what I mean? I think that should be like, and he lives in a rough neighborhood. It's like, you must be a drug kingpin. Do you know what I mean?
I was surprised though that Hoyt never says like, hang on, isn't this the house we went to before?
Yeah, that's true.
I would have thought he would have said something like, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Something doesn't add up here.
Maybe he was just too fucked up to realize.
Yeah, maybe. He was too high that first time.
Yeah. That's also one thing I really like about the plot, because the whole getting him to smoke drugs seems like he's just being an ass, and then that stuff has PCP in it, so that's really cruel. But then you just go like, maybe that's just that's just what Denzel Washington's character's like. He's just a jerk, and he's testing Ethan Hawke in this weird way. But I like after he shoots Roger, and he's like, he's got the gun against him, and he goes, all of us said we saw you shot him, and he's like, I didn't. I'm gonna fucking challenge this. You did kill him. And they go, not only are we all against you, but if they check your pee, you got PCP in you. So they're like, who the fuck are they gonna believe? Some druggy newbie, or us? And I love that scene because it ties it back in, and I like where he's like, you've been thinking about this all day. He's like, all week, motherfucker. Like, I've been meticulously planning this.
Funny lines then, or good lines near the start when Denzel says, "You're in the office, baby."
Oh yeah.
Then a great like Dr. Dre needle drop. Ding 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 ding. Going up, and the hydraulics on the car make the wheels. The car go up from the wheels. That was hilarious.
Also, one scene I quite like is where, his bodyguards and stuff that's at his crib. He basically owns the neighborhood there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he meets one of his guys, one of his closest homies. The guy's like, thanks, man, for helping me out with my nephew. You're cool and all this stuff. And then he goes off, and then he turns to his friends. He's like, I fucking hate that guy. I cannot stand that motherfucker. And then later when... like Hoyt, when he goes, like he's pissed, he wants, revenge, and he just walks up into the neighborhood with a gun and like scars down his face. How he gets to the gate, and it's the same guy there, and he's like, "What you doing, homie?" And he's like, "I need to see Hoyt. I need to see Alfonso." And they just let him through because they're like, fuck that guy. But they already set up that nobody likes him in that neighborhood.
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? In that I never really thought about how I felt about that kind of like all the black gangster guys kind of turn on Denzel Washington and they let Hoyt go, and I think it's just because they just have respect for Hoyt, the fact that he's willing to come up to that neighborhood on his own, all fucked up and trying to get him.
I think the previous scene where they're talking, they say good things to Alfonso's face, but as he turns around they say they don't fucking like him, because to me that gets the idea that all the loyalty he has in that is fear. They don't like him. They don't respect him.
Yeah.
He's not great. They fear him. And here's this guy that can come in and sort him out.
And it's interesting when that guy is like, he puts the gun on the floor. He's like, no, you do your own shooting around here.
Yeah.
You don't make us do it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that really turns everyone against Denzel is when Hoyt shoots him in the ass.
Yeah.
He's like, you shot me in the ass. Yeah. Which, one, is a really funny moment, but that's kind of the real turning point of just like, oh God, this Hoyt guy, this white dude's got balls. Right, we respect this guy. You can go. It's fine.
It shows that Alfonso is not invincible. He's not like a god. It's like, it just shows like, and to be honest, like he tries to be in control.
Hoyt has exposed Alonso in that moment that like, no, he is not to be feared.
Yeah. And then even he begs Hoyt, where he's like, just let me go home. Let me have the money and let me go home. Like all of that emasculates him. He's not a big deal. Like this guy is afraid. He's not the baddest guy there. Hoyt is better than him. And I think he just loses his respect. And then you see when he's trying to get them to fear him again, where they're like, you disloyal, I love that speech. You disloyal motherfuckers, I'm going to burn this motherfucker down, shoe program. It's like King Kong ain't got shit on me. And like, I just love how they're all just like very dismissive. They turn around, they're like, whatever, motherfucker. They just turn around. Even his girlfriend closes the curtains. It's like, but I do love that shot where you just see him and you just as he's trying to laugh it off, but it's just like, oh shit.
And I kind of really like that when he's kind of really trying to, well, he's insulting all these people around him, but every so often he's shouting, Jake!
Yeah. Yeah.
Come back. I want my money!
Like trying to be tough, but begging for,
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah.
I'll fuck you up. Like, come on, man. Give me my money back, please.
He's really losing it in that moment. Yeah. It's really well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really well written. So funny lines then. Damn it, I'm thirsty. I want a beer. What about you? You want a beer? Oh, when Alonso meets the bosses in that bar and he says, you think about him before you pull the trigger, because if you're wrong, he'll snatch your fucking nuts out and use them for dice. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Taxation without representation, brother. Nothing's for free in this world, you lucky first day motherfucker.
Did you say, actually, that was a good one where he's torturing those guys. Well, he's threatening those guys and beating the hell out of them, the rapists. And he says, like he gets his guns out and he says, you wanted me to suck your dick. Is that what you said? That I should suck your dick? And he's like shoving his guns in his face. And he's like, okay, pull down your fucking pants, and like puts his guns on his nuts.
Yeah.
Like, pull down your fucking pants. You either have the right nut or the left nut, You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, please don't. Please don't, man. Stop. Yeah. Move to next scene.
That was pretty intense. The gangsters that are playing cards with him. Did you recognize one of them is Tuco from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? Yeah, the guy without a shirt. Yeah. He was quite funny because where
you ever get your push shit?
Yeah, your shit pushed in. Yeah.
Pushed in.
Yeah.
It did take me a while, admittedly, to work out what the fuck he meant. I was like, what the hell was he on about?
Reverse diarrhea? What the hell are you talking about? Oh, what was it? I think you only sort of, when I was younger, I didn't get it, but it's only when the other guy, they said, Smiley, do you like, getting your shit pushed? And he's like, yeah, I get plenty of love from the homeboys. And then, Ethan Hawke is like, holy crap, tries to run.
I need to get out of here.
Yeah, I need to get out of here. I'm going to be raped. Oh, what was I going to say? So, yeah, the other scene where they're playing poker and they show their hands. Hoyt has three of a kind, and the other guy's like, I win, two pair. And they're like, dumbass, 3 of a kind beats 2 pair,
Yeah, you fucking dumb truck.
Yeah, and they're like, this is why we don't play for money, Holmes,
Yeah, those guys were great.
Yeah,
I did kind of want more from them, but...
Yeah, I think that would have been great.
One great one in that kind of desperation mode that Alonso was in at the end, where he's like, oh, was it that? I can't remember, but the shit is chess, it ain't checkers.
Oh, yeah.
Is a good one.
No, that's much earlier.
Well, that's the sincere bit in the car, isn't it?
I'm trying to remember. The shit is check. Yeah, no, it is. Because he was saying, Roger, like, why did he shoot Roger? And he's like, he was your friend. And he's like, you think he's my friend because he knows my first name? He's like, that guy, he sold drugs to kids. I've been watching his ass for 10 years, And then, then he's like, that's what we do, we kind of blend in and then we pounce, did he say this shit is chess, not checkers or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good line. I like that this shit is chess, not checkers.
Yeah. Is that your favorite?
Oh, man, my favorite, maybe King Kong doesn't have shit on me. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
It just feels really epic in that moment.
It's an epic thing to say. Oh, man. There are a bunch of his lines. I'm trying to remember some because he does have like so many really good lines. Oh, I like where, he's got the shotgun and he's like, I can get really surgical with this, Jake. He goes, how do you want it? Closed casket? Like that's pretty hardcore.
I kind of like the fact that he calls the shotgun the bitch as well.
Yeah, the bitch. Give me the bitch.
Give me the bitch.
Yeah. That was good. Oh, also, actually, before he gets, when he's trying to get him to kill Roger, and he says, do you want to know something, Jake? He goes, when you kill someone, they have to be your slave in the afterlife. And, so Jake's just laughing, and he's like, start yourself an entourage. And he's like, what on earth are you talking about? You know, he's like, yeah, kill him, shoot him. So I thought that was kind of cool. Just kind of like the really kind of depraved, you know, they'll serve you in the afterlife. That's I think one of my favorite parts is the story with the peanut butter. I always think that's hilarious. You know, the peanut butter story is great.
That's weird.
It's so funny. Yeah. I wonder if that'll work.
Yeah.
You just do a crime and then just pack your ass with peanut butter. Such a weird story.
I hate peanut butter, so it wouldn't work for me.
I fucking love it. I'd eat the peanut butter out of your ass, man. Like, really? I love peanut butter.
Jesus. Oh, God. I will run a mile before you ever do that. My God. So screenplay score for me, I think, I really love this screenplay.
Yeah,
I think it's really, really clever. Yeah. Just the way the plot, I mean, it's very much a character piece, but the real plot kind of really, what's the word? It kind of...
I think it materializes somewhere like
creeps up on you. It creeps up on you, you know?
Yeah, it does, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point. I think you're 3/4 into the film before you're like, oh, this is the setup, this is the plot. But it's funny because you're 3/4 into the film and you're like, this is the setup, but it's not, because they've left you a trail of breadcrumbs throughout the film when you just thought they were just jerking around. They were doing stuff that furthered the plot, but you didn't know. You had no idea. And I like that, where, you know, they just tie everything in. That, you know, Roger is the guy they're going after. He needs to pay off these gangsters. He's using Jake to provide him an alibi, and you know he's given Jake, you know, PCP, so that, do you know what I mean? He can't challenge his word. And what was it? They even stole money from Macy Gray so they could buy a police warrant to legally break into Roger's house. And so you're like all of these little things that you thought had no bearing, like just tie themselves together at the end, and you go, oh, it's like the realization you were watching a plot, but you had no idea. You thought you were watching just, a day out between Alfonso and Jake, which you kind of were, but you didn't realize. And then even with them preventing a rape, and then that factors into the plot. You just think it's a bunch of random stuff that they're doing. And then when you hit with the plot, you realize you've been watching a plot this whole time, but you just had no idea.
Yeah, I do love films like that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way of structuring a film.
Because it's not really, it's not like a plot twist thing going on here. It's just, it's a slow reveal. It's a drip feed of information.
Yeah, it's a slow reveal. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you know that Alfonso's up to something.
It's all there.
Yeah, it's all there.
But it's just not obvious.
It's just not obvious, yeah. It's just not, very clear. You know, so it's like you can see the lines, but it's just you're aware, like when you're aware of the plot, that all these lines converge to a point. They have a point. You just weren't paying attention or whatever. But yeah, no, I agree. It's not like a plot twist, as it were, but it is a plot reveal. It's a revealing. Kind
of all the pegs going into the right holes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
In a few moments, you know. So screenplay score for me, I think I'll go like an 8.8.
Yeah, I think it's a really good script.
How about you, sir?
Yeah, I'll go maybe the same.
8.8 for Boaz. For screenplay.
Actually, maybe a 9. I'll go a 9.
Okay. A 9. Acting then. Ethan Hawke is really good as a guy high on drugs. He doesn't do like too much and not too little in his acting, and I like the bit where like they go to Roger's house, played by, you know,
he's probably a method actor, you know. Just get really fucking high on set.
Yeah. He tells the joke about the snail, and Ethan Hawke laughs, and they're just staring at him, and Hawke says, "That's not funny. That's not funny." And he's all wide-eyed, looking really interested, but doesn't really look like he knows what's going on with the joke. He doesn't really understand the joke and just laughs anyway. Yeah. I thought he was great in those scenes. I love the acting from Denzel Washington when they go to Macy Gray's house and he searches the place. And when he leaves, he gives the fake warrant, which is like Chinese takeaway. And then when they leave the house and go back to the car, Macy Gray is like shouting her mouth off saying she's been robbed. Then Denzel Washington looks worried for the first time when he's trying to start up the car. Then, cool as anything, he gets his guns out and starts shooting at all the black guys. So it's the first time you see some vulnerability in this character, like he is touchable in a place he completely understands. Then, you know, knowingly exactly how to deal with it in getting his guns out. So that was really interesting that, you know, at that point, like, he is not in control of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There is some, you know, cracks in the armor there, which is rarely seen throughout the film.
Yeah, absolutely. But this definitely goes to show, like, even, you know, his through line as a character, because he likes to think he's in control. He likes to think he's untouchable. He just doesn't have any sort of care about the wider world. Like, he'll just do what he likes and he'll do it now. And so you see, like, just that. And, like, he has also this charm about it. So it's just like, whatever he wants, he'll do it. And he does it really cool. And you think, he's calm and collected. He's cool. He's got this. But I do like what you're saying. Like, he just steals from him. And you do feel he's a little worried when he's like, start. And it's not starting. And then the bullets go through he doesn't look in control. But then, you know, he does that cool gunfight. But I think that goes with his character, because when you learn that he needs this money because he went to Vegas thinking he was in control and killed someone, and now he's in real trouble. Then towards the end as well, what he does to Jake, he, you know, sets him up to die. He also thought he was in control, and now Jake fucked him over, and now he lost his money. And then at the end, when he thinks he can run away, he thinks he can drive away, and he's just shot down like a dog. And I also thought it was interesting that they do, like, you know, how he shot Roger, which was pretty cruel. Like, he shot him and is kind of just laughing as he's dying, and is just like, breathe, man, breathe. And he just thinks it's funny. And that when he's shot, he is, like, torn to shit, and he's trying to, I think, like, open the boot of his car, probably to get a gun, I suppose. And all the other guys are just laughing their ass off, the Russians, you know, as he's struggling. Like, they're and then they just finish him. But yeah, I think you're right. It just shows that, like, he seems like he's in control, but he's not.
And in that last scene outside that black neighborhood, he's just trying desperately, like, no, I'm the king in this town. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
But he knows deep down he's not. He's lost control here. He's just trying to save face. I'm just like, no, fuck you guys. I'm the king still.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think there is a lot of insecurity in the character. Like, he comes across as cool, but I think he's very insecure.
I think that's the kind of, like, the best moments from Denzel Washington. It's just these very vulnerable moments where you see the cracks in the armor. Like, to get that balance right and to get that convincing is really skillfully done by Denzel Washington to put this kind of facade on the show as well.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
no, the guy's vulnerable. You know, Hoyt doesn't necessarily see it, but we certainly do when we're watching it. I love the moment after Alonzo. I don't know why I keep saying Alfonso.
I keep saying Alfonso as well, I think.
Alonzo shoots Roger with the bitch, and he lays out the scenario, but Jake's like, no, I didn't shoot him. Then Alonzo tells him a new scenario about Hoyt being killed. Then Hoyt's like, no, I'm not taking this anymore. And I love that from Ethan Hawke, the way he takes the gun from him so quickly, because before this point, he's becoming a bit of a pushover, and the film is kind of really at risk of you losing interest in the protagonist in Hoyt.
Yeah. Or any, like, respect for him, because it's like, you know, he just lets all of these guys treat him like garbage.
So this bit of aggression from Hawke really feels satisfying to watch, but then I love the fact that Denzel Washington is loving it too, saying, that's what I'm talking about. But I like how he kind of transitions into being serious about the situation again pretty quickly after that. So it's, again, just really skillfully done from Denzel Washington in that scene where he loses control, but, you know, he finds it funny and he's like, yeah, go on, Hoyt. But hang on, this is serious still. Are you going to really shoot me, man?
Yeah, I think that's what he does. He liked... Even when he's lost control, he pretends he's still in control. Do you know what I mean? He's like, haha, like, this is all part of the plan, and then tries to calm him down, and is like, everybody get your guns off him. Like, this is going according to plan when it clearly isn't, you know? Yeah, he's just got that great way of just being like, yeah, no, it's fine, it's cool. Yeah, this is what I wanted to happen. You're like, no, you didn't, you fucking idiot. You fucked up. You know?
Favorite performance?
Oh, Denzel Washington, yeah. I think he is this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He just is this movie.
So, acting score for me, I might go a solid 9, to be honest, or maybe a 9.1, actually, because he's just really extraordinary, so compelling to watch, because as we've kind of said, the first hour of this film, like, there isn't much plot at all. It's all character stuff, and that all comes from Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke is great as well, but, like, he's kind of like the straight man of the pair. He's the relatable one. Denzel Washington is extraordinary in this. 9.1 for me. How about you, sir?
Yeah, definitely. A 9. But yeah, he's incredibly compelling. Yeah, I think he is Alonzo, whatever. He's just a really good character. Denzel just brings him to life so well. And when you see him, you're like, he's just an ass and he's cocky, and you think that's it. But he is quite deep, and it's quite a deep performance. And like Denzel sort of brings more out of him over time. So, where you've got it that he's not just, just an ass. He's also really controlling. He's pretty aggressive. He can be very caring to his family. He loves his family, loves his people.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing. I fucking hated the kid.
Yeah,
I was
same.
just like, the kid is terrible.
Yeah, he's a terrible actor. Terrible actor. Yeah.
So bad. I was like, I want my mummy. I'm like, you could seriously look scared or more emotional.
There's bullets flying over around.
You literally heard guns. Guns are going off.
Yeah.
What the hell? I want my mummy. I'm like, really? So they really could have done better with that guy, that character. Especially when you compare him to Dakota Fanning in the other film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like,
she's incredible.
It's chalk and cheese. Yeah. Right, let's add up the scores then for Training Day. Training Day gets 52 points.
Nice.
Which is pretty good, pretty good. I think it could be a tight one, possibly. That's it for part 1. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 2 to see who wins. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.